I couldn't have a lavender video without including one of the most famous and popular lavender perfumes for women, I imagine, in the whole world, which is Mon Guerlain from Guerlain. So I've had a few kind of perfumes that are in this wheelhouse in my collection before this one actually joined, because this is quite an expensive perfume for me. Guerlain is a house that is quite pricey, so I asked my husband for this one for my Christmas present. I've got Chill Out from Oriflame, which is very similar. I talked about that in my first video, but I also have Guess Seductive Noir, which, although it doesn't list lavender, is certainly supposed to be a dupe of Mon Guerlain. And to be honest, that's the one I'd advise to get, because I really love this perfume, but unless you particularly love the bottle, my experience with it is that it's not particularly strong or long lasting, and therefore Guess Seductive Noir is pretty close. So that's such an affordable perfume that, for the lasting power, you might as well get that one. Having said that, I love this perfume. It is, it already has a bit of a dent in it, even though I've only had it for like 5 months. It is so easy to wear, so comforting to me. It's creamy, sweet, but it has that beautiful lavender. It's not at all like boring because it has licorice in it, which is a note that I really personally love. It's just, this is like one of my happy places, and it definitely has some crossovers with Lush Twilight as well, but in a kind of, honestly, like a more wearable way than that one, because it's more of a kind of perfumey lavender rather than quite such a strong natural lavender. So this has notes of lavender and bergamot in the top, middle notes of iris, jasmine, sambac and rose, base notes Tahitian vanilla, coumarin, Australian sandalwood, licorice, benzoin and patchouli. It's cozy, it's comforting, it's creamy, it's sweet. It's a perfect combination of vanilla and coumarin. So it's got that kind of creamy tonkery base as well as having the vanilla. Just gorgeous. I adore this perfume, love it. I wear it a lot. I often wear it when I don't feel very well and I need cheering up. Oh, I've been wearing it quite a lot because you might be able to tell I have a cold while I'm recording this, but I love it. So I have 2 flankers of this perfume now. The first one I bought myself in order to wear in winter. So this is the one that I would advise to buy if you're going to buy Mon Guerlain. This is Mon Guerlain Intense. So this is Eau de Parfum Intense, and it really genuinely is just an intense, stronger version of the original. The main difference I would say here is that it's a bit more vanillic because it has double the amount of vanilla. So the notes in Eau de Parfum Intense are lavender, mandarin, orange and bergamot in the top, mid notes of Tahitian vanilla and Madagascar vanilla, iris, rose and jasmine sambac, base notes coumarin, patchouli, licorice, benzoin, Australian sandalwood and white musk. So the thing with this one, it just performs better than the original, but it doesn't smell so different that technically, I don't really need both. So what I would say, just because I have both, in slightly warmer weather, I'll go for the original. In colder weather, this is the one that I was reaching for. And when I run out of my big bottle of the original, the chances are I will just get a bigger bottle of Guess Seductive Noir. But if I was to run out of this one, I would rebuy this. It's just stronger and lasts longer. And like I said, the vanilla's a bit stronger. I do love the balance of the coumarin in the original, but it's not a big enough difference, considering they're pretty much the same price, to kind of warrant having the original over this one. I just think that this is the better value, but it's not that I like it more. It's just better value, and I do like a good value perfume. I got this again for like a special. My husband bought me a really beautiful a special Christmas gift set of the original Mon Guerlain. So I have a body lotion which actually helps it last. I can use that under either of these, and it had a little pen spray as well. But I'm a bargain hunter, so I got this from my Origins and it was on sale. It was on special for like £40. So 30ml for £40 is quite expensive for me, but I really love this perfume. I love it a lot, so totally worth it. Really beautiful. Such a good one. Oh, I love this. I love Mon Guerlain. Okay, The other flanker that I have, which I also think is amazing, and people give this one short shrift. People aren't mad for this. I haven't seen a huge amount of good reviews of this, but oh my goodness, I think this one's lush. This is the newest one to my collection. This is Sparkling Bouquet. So funnily enough, the 3 Mon Guerlains that you can still actually buy from the company are the 3 that are my favourite, and they're the 3 that are in my collection. Which is nice because occasionally I have things, and I've got some things here that are technically discontinued. But this I feel like kind of replaced the EDT. Now, I will link on my first video, I'll link up to my Mon Guerlain flankers video that I made because I have some carded samples and I had a little partial bottle of the EDT. So I talked through how I felt about those, and at the time I had a carded sample of this one, Sparkling Bouquet. I really, really liked this one. I thought it was super pretty. And that was in quite cold weather I had that. But I finished up that sample recently in warmer weather, and I fell so in love with it. And it was so perfect to have like a warm weather appropriate version of something that's kind of a slightly more cool weather perfume, like the original Mon Guerlain and Mon Guerlain Intense. So this one to me smells the way that I would imagine an EDT version of Mon Guerlain should smell. The actual EDT that they've discontinued had caramel in the base, and it was quite strong. It didn't really feel massively lighter than the original. It just felt slightly different. This one, it feels lighter, fresher, brighter, and it's so pretty. So the notes of Sparkling Bouquet are top notes of pear, bergamot, and mandarin orange, mid notes of lavender, peony, and jasmine sambac. Base notes are Tahitian vanilla, white musk, and sandalwood. You get a lot of pear here. I get a really nice amount of lavender still. The peony weirdly comes across like a Guerlain rose to me more than peony. Thankfully, I don't get a huge amount of jasmine sambac because I do not like the Mon Guerlain flankers that have a lot of that jasmine sambac in. And this starts off really soapy. It's got like a clean, soapy smell about it. But then the soapiness kind of goes away a bit as it dries down. And weirdly, you really manage to maintain the kind of soul and the skeleton of Mon Guerlain. But you've got that beautiful, juicy pear on top. So it's a much lighter and kind of more summer appropriate version. And oh my goodness, I was just so in love. Again, I managed to get this from someone who bought it on eBay and wasn't keen. So that's how I tend to get my more expensive perfumes. I will just get secondhand bottles or bottles with damaged boxes or tester bottles from eBay and places like that. So this is another one that cost me about £40, but this is a 50ml. Beautiful, beautiful perfume. I really, really like this one quite a lot. But yeah, like I said, people don't really talk about it, but it's got beautiful, gentle lavender. Super, super pretty. Lavender and pear. Lovely, lovely combination. So next up on the list, we're going super clean now. We're going super clean for a couple because I've got 2 by Clean. This first one, still available, still fresh and lovely. This is Clean Classic, and it's called Simply Clean. This is a very straightforward perfume in that it smells like cleanly laundered, fresh out of the tumble dryer laundry. But if you'd washed your laundry with lavender, you know, with some kind of lavender detergent, it's not like super crazy soapy. It's very soft, a bit baby powdery. It's also got a real sweetness in here, almost like a kind of sweet skin smell. It's super pretty. It's really easy to wear. This is one that I like to take with me and like just spritz on in the morning when I'm having coffee, especially like on holidays or if I'm at someone's house. It's a lovely clean scent, really, really good in very hot weather when all I want to do is smell clean and I don't want to smell any kind of perfumey scents. This one just smells like I've got the cleanest, freshly laundered clothes you could imagine. Super, super pretty. Oh, let me give you the notes. The official notes, this is from the site because for Grand Corona you list a couple of notes for this. So it's bergamot, cardamom and lavender in the top, mimosa, fresh laundry accord and aquatic blossom in the mid, fresh hinoki wood, white musk and heliotrope in the base. I can be very fussy about white musk, but it's not a problem in here. There's nothing screechy, there's nothing sharp. It's super soft, gentle, pretty, super clean. This is Clean Fresh Laundry and Lavender Eau Fraiche. Got this huge bottle of it. This is one I've got a decent dent in, because as you can see, in very hot weather, like, I mean, when we're in London and it's getting to be like 40 degrees and over, this is my girl. She is clean, fresh and transparent, watery. This is very similar to the scent from the Clean Simply Clean, but without that kind of sweet skin musky smell. It's not sugary in the same way. It's honestly, this one's like wet laundry. So this smells like you've just cleaned your clothes, they've just come out of the washing machine, they feel cool and crisp, but you've used a lavender detergent. I love this. I don't think you can get it anymore, unfortunately, but if you ever see it, it's so good for hot weather. I also will sometimes use this on my sheets in hot weather, which is why I've got quite such a big dent, because I think this is like 175 mils. Though in my collection, to have this much out of it, I've also been using it on my sheets. But I did love this in really hot weather in London. And I'll love it again when it comes around to that in summer, which it does tend to. I'm sad to say that this is yet another discontinued perfume, but I'm hoping that Lush will bring this back as part of their community votes at some point. So this is What Would Love Do. This is a perfume that is lavender, benzoin, tangerine. That's the notes it gives you. That's the main notes. This weirdly smells like gingerbread to me, but you definitely get in the top loads of tangerine, a gorgeous lavender, but the benzoin is so strong, and I always get a gingerbready smell from that. It's almost like if you made yourself a Christmas spiced gingerbread with like candied lavender or something and candied tangerine peel. It's so beautiful. My husband really liked this one as well. This dries down on my skin to be so addictive and gorgeous. It's such a shame they don't make this anymore. I really, really like this. If you see it anywhere and you can get it for a good price, highly recommend it. You have to really love benzoin though. So this is lavender, but it's also very strong in benzoin. So if you don't like benzoin, you won't like it. But if you do like benzoin, this is so pretty. It smells like Christmas to me. It's so beautiful. But yeah, gorgeous lavender, aromatic, kind of zesty, but kind of slightly bitter. Yeah, there's a little work of magic going on with What Would Love Do. It's such a shame that Lush sometimes discontinue some of the best ones. Anyway, just a little quick one. And then we have, let's do this one. I only have a sample of this, but I wanted to talk to you about it because I have a perfume that smells kind of similar in the dry down. So this is Lavande by Molinard, and it comes in a gorgeous purple bottle. And there was a part of me that was hoping that I would fall in love with this sample so that I could have an excuse to get one of those cool bottles. But in the end, this really reminds me of another perfume that I have, but I don't love it as much because I think it's a bit sweeter and therefore not quite as easy to wear. So this one lists lavender, clary sage in the top, hedione in the mid, base notes vanilla, benzoin, tonka bean, coumarin, labdanum and patchouli. So you can see you've got a double dose of sweetness there because tonka bean's very sweet, coumarin is even sweeter, and yeah, this definitely has a very beautiful natural lavender when you first spray it, and then the clary sage kind of comes up to meet it, and it becomes very sweet, cozy. It almost smells sugary, this one, but the patchouli and labdanum give it what I would describe as just a very slight smoky feeling here. It's very pretty, really nice, and if you see this one, I'd highly recommend giving it a go. I think this is super pretty, but the thing that it really reminded me of, I have to say, is, yeah, the dry down of Shade from Lush. Shade, wow, what a fabulous perfume. Now, this is such an odd one, because the way Lush described this, they just say that it's olibanum and sandalwood. That's all they talk about when they describe this. But this is definitely got way more going on. So I definitely get a really strong lavender when I first spray this. And it has, I can't quite see in this light very, very well, but there's definitely something in here. There's some kind of compound that smells like lavender, if it's not actual lavender. But it's got a lavender scent, it's got a citrusy smell at first. It's got quite a strange aroma when you first spray it. And then the more it dries down, you get what almost smells like a bit like honeysuckle, or like some kind of soft, sweet, florally smell. You get loads of sandalwood, you've got a lot of tonka, and it's just very, very pretty. The dry down of this, like you spray it at first and you're like, oh, what's that? And then the dry down is so cozy and comforting. It's gorgeous. I love Shade, and this is one of the main collections. So this is between maybe like £25–30, something like that. So I feel like the dry down of this is like honeysuckle, sandalwood, tonka bean, lavender, with like an incense stick kind of smouldering away in the background. Sorry for all the edits, guys. My throat is going. But yeah, Shade. I love it. So next up we have something in a super cool bottle. So this is Obsessed by Calvin Klein. So this is Obsessed for women, as you can see. I did once have the intense version of this, but I found it really sickly because it was so sweet. So I've now got this version. This is citrus, elemi, neroli, bergamot in the top, mid notes of lavender, sage, violet leaf, orange blossom, and lily of the valley and rose in the mid. Base notes musk, ambret, and iso e super. So iso e super is a really specific scent, but this has a lot of other things going on in it. So although I can get a hint of that iso e super, I get a lot of lavender and sage going on here, and quite a lot of musk, and I think that elemi is really coming through. It's a really unisex smell, this, so I find it weird that it's for women. This is like a cool girl in a white t-shirt. It's got that kind of feel to it, but it's got this kind of a soft fluffiness and skin musky feel because it's a musk and iso e super. This is, to me, a kind of a Sunday morning out in the garden, you know, hanging out, having a coffee kind of smell. It's pretty, it's quite easy to wear, and I just think the lavender and sage here is such a classic combination. I feel like there's often lavender and sage in perfumes with lavender in, so like I said, super unisex to me. Yeah, I think this is one of those where the lavenders are quite strong, but the sage is equally as strong, so I think it's a real balance between those two. And then with that kind of molecular one kind of iso e super smell in there as well. Really, really pretty. Iso e super is one of the few aroma chemicals I can get on quite well with. So this is super pretty. I love this bottle as well. Isn't it so cool? I love this bottle. Alright, let's talk about one I've got a sample of here, because I have a perfume that I think smells really similar to this. So this is a Replica, and this is Coffee Break, Creamy Cozy Coffee, unisex, although I find this one leans a bit feminine myself. So Coffee Break, as you can see, it says notes of coffee and milk mousse, lavender, let's see. Let's have a sniff. Okay. So on Fragrantica, this lists pepper, orange blossom, and patchouli in the top, which is unusual to have patchouli right up there in the top. And then the middle notes of lavender, coffee, milk, tonka bean, siam, benzoin, and cypriol oil. And then the base notes of vanilla, cedar, and vetiver. Now, this is one of those weird ones that there's a lot of stuff in it that you might be like, oh, that's a bit gourmand. And it does have a sweet creaminess to it. But it's definitely also got a floral feel to it and a soapy smell. And I think this is super pretty, but interestingly enough, I already had a perfume when I smelt this one, which I do actually believe came out before this one. And when I smelled Coffee Break, I was like, oh, this smells so much like something else. This smells like something I've already got, so I don't need this one. And although this is very pretty, and I think the bottle's really cool, the one that I have It's called French Lavender and Tuberose, and this is from Vera Wang. So you can't really see in this light, but this has a slightly... It's actually got a very similar colour juice. It's like a kind of slightly purpley brown colour, very much like Coffee Break. And this one, it's honestly so similar. I just really think it's so similar. Mine has a different lid because this was a tester bottle. But my French Lavender and Tuberose has notes, well, listed notes of mandarin orange in the top, lavender and tuberose in the mid, base notes vanilla and cacao. So obviously Coffee Break has coffee, but that always came across to me as kind of like a bitter dark chocolate. This one's also slightly soapy. It's very creamy, it's sweet, but it has that kind of gourmand creaminess, that lovely cozy lavender, really sugary sweetness with like a sprinkle of cacao. But there's a soapy floral going on as well. When I first had this, I wasn't quite so aware of the floral, but I can really smell it now. And I get exactly the same thing with Coffee Break. Now, as far as I'm aware, both of these have been discontinued, but I hope that you can find one of them if you're interested. This one obviously is much cheaper than Maison Margiela, but Coffee Break by Maison from the Replica range by Maison Margiela is also super pretty. I know you can still buy that online. But yeah, they are really gentle, creamy, lovely lavender with just these kind of interesting soapy florals and then just this kind of hint of creamy gourmand. Yeah, really pretty. As you can see, I've used a lot of this perfume. I have a backup. I feel like I have to mention Lovely if I'm talking about lavender perfumes. I only have this mini because this is not a perfume that I particularly enjoy wearing myself, but this is Sarah Jessica Parker's Lovely. This obviously is a very popular musky, skin scenty kind of perfume. This one just doesn't work on me. There's something about it, probably the patchouli, and it's a kind of more Narciso Rodriguez style musk. And I just find it a little bit too sharp for me personally, but what I do quite like about it is the lavender note. So in the top of this one, there's lavender, martini and bergamot, mandarin orange and palo sandalwood. And then in the mid, there's patchouli, orchid and narcissus. In the base, there's musk, woodsy notes, cedar and amber, white amber. So the patchouli here is just a bit much for me. I find it a little bit too sharp. But I also really like the martini and lavender in the top of this. I do think that's super pretty. I tend to prefer less of a kind of crisp white musk, more of a creamy, warm golden musk. So this just isn't really my vibe, but I've kept hold of this just kind of to smell it and for comparison, and because, let's be real, what a cute little mini this is. It's so, so cute. But I know a lot of people love this, and a lot of people like to wear this to bed. So I think the lavender really helps it in that respect and makes it really kind of cozy to the people who get on well with the musk and the patchouli. Super, super pretty. Again, almost a bit unisex to my nose. This is another one of those perfumes that I smelt and I thought had a little bit of a similarity to something that I have. So I saw the perfume guy talking about this particular perfume. This is Blumerin. I don't know if I've pronounced that right, but it's called Let Me Love You. And I got this little sample. He said that it was very pretty, sounded really good. So you can see here, they've actually I love these kind of carded samples when they give you the notes. So black pepper, lavender, ylang ylang, geranium, bourbon, orange blossom, mugain, patchouli, Laurenex, and vanilla accord. So there's a few aroma chemicals going on in here, so I was kind of aware that this might not be quite up my street. This is kind of powdery and unusual. It's got a lovely lavender in it. It's got a beautiful vanilla. I am a sucker for ylang ylang. There is a little bit of spice, but I find this one a little bit chemically. And I do think that's just the amount of aroma chemicals that are in here. It is really pretty though, and if you're not bothered by aroma chemicals, then unless you're bothered by patchouli, you will probably enjoy this one if you like a kind of very sweet powdery lavender. Now, I find the patchouli in here quite strong, but at the same time, the more it dries down, the more cozy it gets. It's very sweet and enveloping, really, really nice. Definitely got that powdery feel. I'd say this is another one that has some crossovers with Mon Guerlain, but doesn't actually smell like Mon Guerlain. But it is in that same kind of general arena of cozy, sweet, feminine lavender perfumes that just have something slightly interesting going on about it. This is, I'd say, stronger in the patchouli. And definitely got, like I said, aroma chemicals going on, but it's definitely pretty. It's a good one, and I think it's probably relatively affordable, so definitely one to look out for. However, I personally fell in love with one that's compared to this, and it is this baby. Oh my goodness. Oh, Jose from Eisenberg. I just have this small bottle. But to be honest, I wish I had an 100ml of this. This, to me, is the better version of the Blumerin Let Me Love You. It's got a very squeaky lid, unfortunately. It's so good, though. I am completely in love with this smell. Again, it has a little bit of that Mon Guerlain vibe to it in terms of its creaminess. But this one I find even easier to wear when I'm feeling a bit rough. It's even cozier to me than that one. So Jose, it's got really interesting notes though, very unusual. So it's got mint, amalfi lemon, jasmine and bergamot in the top. Middle notes of lavender, coffee, artemisia, which I believe is wood. I can't remember what it's called. The thing that's in absinthe, anyway. I nearly said woodwind, but it's not that, is it? So base notes: amber, sandalwood, patchouli, musk, vanilla, tonka bean and moss. It's got a lot of vanilla and tonka bean in the base of this. It's also got a powdery vibe, but it's got that fresh zinginess because it's got those green notes. But I can definitely smell the coffee, and they describe it as a mocha coffee. So it's almost got a slightly creamy, lactonic, chocolatey coffee thing going on here. But along with, I mean, I love mint in perfume, so I'm not getting a huge amount of mint here. I think other people probably smell more of that than I do. But it's got a brightness from those top notes, a beautiful sandalwood. It's so sweet and dreamy. That's how I describe this. This is one that I actually love so much. I like wearing it in the day. I also find it a little bit unisex. It's a little bit less feminine than Mon Guerlain. But I love this. I really, really love this. This is one of the newer perfumes in my collection that I keep sniffing and wanting to wear all the time. I really, really love this. I think it's so beautiful. And I managed to get this for £26 on Latino. They're the best prices I've seen for any of the Eisenberg. But yeah, I mean, I think this is an amazing perfume. If you like Mon Guerlain, I think you're in with a chance of really enjoying this. It's just so, so cozy, pretty, and such a gorgeous lavender. So let's just finish with one that I randomly saw on eBay and decided to try. And this is not one that I plan to keep because it's not for me, but I am going to talk to you about it anyway because this is interesting. This is Fragonard, and this is Rose Lavande. Really cute bottle. Comes in a beautiful box as well. So this particular perfume, I'm just trying to see. I might actually hold this one so you can see what it says. So Rose Lavande has notes of peony and pear in the top, rose and lavender in the mid, and then tonka bean and violet leaf in the base. So this is a pretty perfume, and what I will say is it definitely has some crossovers with how Sparkling Bouquet from Mon Guerlain range smells. This one's a bit sweeter. It's a bit more kind of, it's soapier in the beginning and then creamier in the dry down. But there's definitely some crossovers here, and possibly that's one of the reasons I think this one smells a bit like rose. To be fair, this also smells a little bit like Victoria Minier's Hedonist Rose, so that peony in here is just striking me as rose. But yeah, there's definitely some crossovers. However, Rose Lavande from Fragonard, this has a bit of a Delina smell about it. It smells like the rose, the kind of fruity rose from Delina, and I do not like Delina. And it's like now I've got that link in my head, it's so obvious that I find this a little bit sickly and slightly screechy, and that is what I find with Delina. Now I'm not sure if there's like some kind of specific rose note, or if there's some kind of musk or very possibly aroma chemicals in this. But I do think if you like Sparkling Bouquet and you also like Delina, I think you will love this perfume. I definitely get some lavender. I get a lot of pear, but I get lots of rose and peony. And it's really like perfectly sweetened with that tonka bean. So it's not too sweet. But yeah, for me, because it's that it's got a little bit of a hint of that Delina smell. This is just not one that I can wear personally because I really can't get along with Delina. However, I think for other people this could be a really nice option. I think it's much more affordable than either Delina or the Mon Guerlain range. So it's a pretty perfume. It just happens to be one that's not for me. So yeah, that's Fragonard, Rose, Lavande, and I'm going to end this video here before my throat completely collapses. I did choose to do this when I'm not particularly well, but that, to be honest, is because I have been wearing so many lavender perfumes this week because I've been feeling so ill, so rough. All I want to do is being cozy and comfy, and lavender is just such a fabulous note for making me feel really kind of calm and chilled when I don't feel very well. So yeah, that's why I wanted to get these done. But yeah, I apologise if there's a million edits because I was coughing my head off in this second one. I probably should have done them on separate days, but you know, I was too excited. I got them all out. So anyway, let me know if you have any of these. Let me know what your favourite lavender perfumes are. If you've only seen this second one, then go back and have a look at my my page on YouTube and you will find the first part. Yeah, I hope that you guys found this interesting. I know it's a weird time of year to be doing lavender, but you know, I've got some really good freshies in here as well as like, I mean, this is definitely something you could easily wear in warmer weather, you know. It doesn't all have to be thicker lavender sweet ones. But yeah, bye guys, thank you so much for watching, and if you like my videos, please do consider subscribing. Have a good one.